Christmas. Okay, welcome everybody to our cozy Christmas paper pumpkin alternate project class. We have 3 cards to stamp today, and you can see I did not change them a lot. I just wanted to remind you that when we're not stamping together any longer, um, when that happens, you can always step up your projects by just adding a little bit of cardstock to it. So you can see the difference here. This was just adding a little bit of cardstock to the back here, and it just kind of steps it up a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll get started with our Christmas tree first. And this one was just the plain card, regular card, and now it opens with a Z fold. And those of you who've been stamping with me for a long time know that I use Z folds a lot. It just changes it from a regular plain old card to something a little fancier and without a lot of work. Okay, so for this one, we are going to need our green tree cards from our kit. Now you're going to be stamping 3. I'm doing 2 because I've already done our sample here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fold these in half and use our bone folder to get that nice crisp edge. And actually, we're folding them the opposite direction. We want the white on the outside. Okay. So go ahead and fold all of them inside out. And we are going to cut these. So you don't want to cut the folded side. You want to cut the open side. And you're going to make this 5 1/4. And I'm cutting through both layers by 4. So what I want to do is make sure that my trees are going in the right direction. And then what you're going to do is you're going to close this up and bring the right side over to your fold line. And fold that. Give that a nice crisp edge. So now you have your Z fold, whichever way you want to look at it. Okay, so once again, I'm going to close this and bring the right side to the left folded edge. What day today? Sunday, isn't it? Okay, then you should have pieces of cardstock, and it can be any coordinating color. I'm using cherry cobbler. Real red works. Any
No,
dark red work.
they're doing the card class thing, so I'm just
Any
saying.
other color that coordinates. So if you wanted to use like the shaded spruce or something, you'd pick up more of this green here.
Oh, cool.
So whatever you have in your stock,
That sounds good. Okay. Okay. All right. Bye.
and we are going to glue this to the center of our red or cardstock. I'll just say cardstock. Okay, then you have your creamy color pieces from your card kit. And you're going to glue one to each center of your card bases. Okay, so on the inside, you're going to just center that. The top and bottom are going to be a little bit wider than the sides. And before we get any more on here, I'm going to have you flip them over and do your stamped by on the back if you have that handy. And just as a reminder, if you're going to be selling your cards, you need to have the Stampin' Up! Copyright on there. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on mine. And if you're just blessing family and friends with cards, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, now let's get our little tree pieces. And you can either glue these together with multi-purpose adhesive or glue dots, whatever you want to use, or you can do what I'm doing, which is giving my card a little bit more dimension and using these stamping dimensionals. So I'm just going to put a dimensional at the top. You want to go as high up as you can, flat side to flat side. You can see that. And then I can just take off those covers. And you're just going to center that to add the top of your tree. And same thing down here. You don't really need this many dimensionals, but because that is my mechanism for going back and forth, I went ahead and added extra just to make sure it doesn't get caught on anything. You have plenty of dimensionals in your kit to do too much. And then I'm going to take dimensionals and put it on the back of this tree, just on the left side here underneath. So it would be your right side when it's flipped over. We are going to take this and glue it down to towards the bottom, and you're just adhering it to this front flap here. So I'm centering that and going all the way to the bottom. And then I'm going to stick a Stampin' Dimensional on this edge right here. Okay, so right underneath here, I didn't want to do it until I knew exactly where my tree was. But just to add a little bit more support, I'm just going to add one right there. And I'm going to get one of the stars here. And I'm going to cut a Stampin' Dimensional in half. And then I want to put the dimensional here. So I make sure I don't go over that folded edge. And then I can just adhere my star. Okay, so let's do that again. So you want to make sure, see how I have a little bit of dimension showing here, a dimension. You don't want that past that. Okay, so what I can do now is use an X-Acto knife just to cut that part off. Otherwise, for one, it looks bad, and two, it can stick to the inside of your card, and you don't want that to happen. There we go. And then I have my half dimensional. I'm gonna put up here at the top, and I want it as close to the tree as possible. And then just adhere my star. So I got a little carried away and just kept stamping yesterday. So mine's already stamped, but you're going to get your little piece from your kit. That's the same shape as your Merry Christmas. And go ahead and stamp. You need 3. They gave you 4 just in case you mess up, which I'm thankful for because when I stamped the first one yesterday, I smeared. So I'm glad they gave me an extra one. Really what happened was I stamped it and didn't realize that my ink pad was too dry. And so it stamped really badly. So then I tried over stamping and my eyes must have crossed.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and you're gonna want, once you have these stamped, you're gonna want to glue this on top of this tree here. And I'm kind of following this scallop here on the left. And I use the multi-purpose adhesive because of the fuzziness of this. I'm not really sure that the seal will stick to that very well. So if you use the liquid adhesive, it will get into all those little nooks and crannies there for you. And you're not putting it all the way across. So I'm just kind of visualizing my Y here to the A. I can't put adhesive there. You don't want it to go beyond this tree. So I'm just going to do about 2/3 of this. And I can put a little adhesive right along that edge now that I know where my piece is. So was anybody else surprised when you opened your kit and that you had these fuzzy pieces? I had no idea they were going to be so dimensional. I love it. So I did oh, would you look at that?
Or some red stamping stuff.
What do you want?
Red ink.
Hold on 1 second, ladies.
Give us brown. Okay. Oh, I could.
There we go. And then they gave us our red sequins so we could add our sparkle. Very nice of them. And I'm just going to add a large one to the right here. So you can see it's on the inside of the card. And then I have a small one that I'm going to add right here. And another small one over here on the left. Once again, I'm trying to get that triangular shape with my embellishments, which is easier on the eye. Okay, and then we have our envelope. And what I'm going to do is use I think I'm going to use the cherry cobbler. I might do some green as well. So I'm going to use our little sparkle stamp that came in our kit. Now, doing the envelope is something that you can wait until the very end to do and stamp them all at the same time. I'm stamping them all the same, so normally I will just do that all at one time. And that way you don't have to change your ink so much. You can stamp all the reds and then stamp all the greens. But I just wanted to show you how I'm doing my envelopes. Just to add a little something, something, a little Christmas fun for the post office. So there's our envelope. Here's our card. And then you'll write your greeting on the inside. I like the simplicity of this because if you're making a ton of cards for Christmas, you don't want them to be too complicated that it takes months to get them all stamped.
Jeannie, your form for the Christmas trees, what was that?
The what?
The form that you used for the Christmas tree? Was that in our kit? Or is that one you made? Yes, that one.
This one?
Uh-huh.
What about it?
Did you cut that yourself?
No, it's a part of your kit.
Okay, I'm looking.
There's three pieces.
I'm sure there is. It's just that, I just took this out. I didn't separate anything. So,
Okay. Yeah. You'll actually be pulling 9 pieces out of your kit.
like I'm a blind person when I do this. Oh, got it. It's on the bottom.
Okay, yeah, they look like this. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple more minutes and then we'll move on to card number 2.
Oh, you can move on because you know how slow I am.
Well, other people still have their heads down too, so I think that other people are still working. Oh, thank you, Martha. She doesn't know it, but I'm actually using Mary as a guide as to when I can move on.
Losing bet.
Okay, so this is card number 2 that we're going to be working on. If you look at the sample on our kit here, you can see they leave the center opening for the brown to show through. I wanted to keep the white. So if you want to keep the white, just take your little piece out of here. Okay, and before you start popping it out, just add Scotch tape to the back here to hold that piece in place.
Mine is already out.
Well, they gotta be, unless you pull them.
I didn't pull them.
Huh.
If anybody else is
They
already.
didn't fall out, didn't they?
No. But that's okay. I'm through.
Well, that's it. This is it.
Oh, it's that one.
It's this. You're gonna
Oh,
just
these
take
are
those
the
into the yard. Hi, Suki. Hi, Suki. Grandpa's not doing very well watching you. You let you go. Yeah. Okay. So the other thing that I did that I did not put on the instructions is I wanted my joy to be a little shiny. So can you see that?
Mhm.
So if you have I forgot what they're, Winkostella pen, you can just color over your letters before you pop them out.
Oh,
Okay, so that will give you the shininess just to add a little more sparkle. And it dries, excuse me, dries really quickly. So I just left them on the sheet and I just colored over them real quickly. So I'm going to give you, those of you that would like to do that, a minute. Do you want yours colored? You want yours to sparkle? And don't forget you have a second sheet, Mary.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I didn't give you enough time. Do, 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 do. I have to introduce you to the group. While you're coloring, I'm going to introduce you to our special guest today. Look it!
Oh,
Isn't she cute?
She's
This is
adorable.
Cookie. This is Mary's dog.
Hi, sweetie pie.
Isn't she just adorable?
Yes. Oh, look at her eyes. How precious.
She's so sweet and she's so tiny. Such a good girl. You're such a good girl.
You're on the internet forever.
So we're having fun playing. We're gonna call her our grand puppy. Our grand
all right. You guys see what I have?
puppy. Yeah.
That's Quinn.
Oh, hi, Gwen.
She's my puppy corgi with one ear up.
Oh, so cute.
Working on it. Mary named her.
She looks like
So-
a Harlequin.
Like a pelican?
No, Harlequin. She's got the black and white.
Oh, okay,
The
yeah.
diamond face.
Very cute. Okay, let's go ahead and get started on our next card here. And we are going to start with the beige card bases from our kit. And we are just folding those in half to make our card bases. And one thing that I found is sometimes the scoring on the paper pumpkin cards isn't quite straight. So you might need to kind of look at the edges here and just make sure they're aligning before you hit it with the bone folder to get that crisp edge. You want those to be straight. And then we have our stamped card or pattern piece from our kit. And I decided I wanted to add a little texture to this. It gives the card a little bit more of a rich feel to it. And I'm using the subtle embossing folder. Now this is one that is retired, but any kind of embossing folder that you have that's not too, doesn't have too much pattern to it. You just kind of want a soft texture. So any like that would work. There's one called linen, and I forgot some of the other ones that we've used, but you just want something pretty subtle. But this one is really subtle. And so what I like to do is just take a water bottle, and I like to spritz the paper lightly with water. Before I emboss it, and that will give me a deeper embossing on it. So it will get more texture than what it would be if it was dry. Okay, so I'm just going to run this through. And I'm running it back and forth a couple of times just to make sure I get as much of that texture as I can. And so I know, so hopefully you can see it's just got that light texture to it. When you add the water, the paper wants to curl up on you. So you can see this one's starting to curl up. So I'm going to put adhesive on this pretty quickly. I'm not worried about it being completely dry, but I have to go light with that because when I run it through the embossing folder, it breaks the fibers in the paper and makes it more apt to kind of come apart. So you just want to do that lightly. And I'm going to glue this to a 4 by 5 1/8 inch piece of green cardstock. And I'm just going to center that. And if you're worried about ripping the paper, you can always put the adhesive on the green piece, just allowing for the 1/8 inch portion that will show. So let me show you what I mean. I know this I have an 1/8 inch I want to show, so I'm going to bring it in a little bit. And now this will dry flat instead of curling up. You can see the texture, I think. And then we can just glue that to the front. Of our card. So I'm just going to make sure my card's opening in the right direction. And I'm just going to center that on there. This time there'll be a little bit more showing on the left and right than the top and bottom. We're going to get our little joy pieces in the kit. And for this, I'm using the pecan pie stamp, which is the one that came in your kit. And I need the To the World stamp. I'm putting it on the black. I put it on the black so I can see the edges better when I'm stamping. And I'm just going to stamp this down at the bottom here. Okay, and then we have our letters. And I found that using the multi-purpose adhesive worked better for me than anything else, because I can just put a little bit on the back of these letters. And you just want to place this so there's a little border around the edge here. Okay, then we need our little branch pieces. And you'll notice that there's one that has 4 of these little sprigs and the other has 3. So you want 1 of each for your card, each card. And the one with the 4 sprigs goes in the top left, and the other one goes to the bottom right. And we are going to glue that. So you want to glue your little piece on, but you have to keep in mind that this needs to fit on your card here. So I'm going to lay it on there and down here. You don't want any pieces hanging off the side, and that will tell me where to glue those sprig pieces. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to put some adhesive on these white areas in the center. And you want to look at your joy to make sure it's going to be straight. And that can just be glued to that. And then I'm going to slide this one under. Make sure it fits. Like that.
Kind of cool that they're fuzzy. It's kind of like little kids' golden book.
Yeah. Fun.
It is. That should go.
Okay, once you have those glued together, go ahead and flip them upside down because you're going to put all of this on Stampin' Dimensionals.
Well, okay.
I'm just kind of putting some all over the place. And for this little spot of the Y here, I'm going to use a mini dimensional. If you don't have minis, you can use the little side here and just cut a piece. Hi, Erin. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Sorry I'm so late.
We are working on our second card and just adding some dimensionals to make it pop up here. Once again, you probably don't need to do that many, but have dimensionals, we'll use them. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and pull those off. And I'm just going to place this in the center. What I'm paying attention to is that my sprigs don't go off the edges, and that the joy is straight. Okay, so now we want to add a little bling. So we're bringing out our sequins. And we're going to put a little sequin in the center of each of these poinsettia flowers. And then we're going to add some extras. So I'm just going to put, and all I have left are the large ones, so that's what I'm using. So there's a total of 5 sequins on each of these cards. Mary, give her the Dennis. No more.
She just wants to see what's going on.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we have that. Let's open our cards and add our stamped by on the back here. And for the envelope, you can do it the same way that we did the other. So we just did some sparkles. And then there's our card. If you don't want them all the same, you could do these in the pecan pie to bring more of that in if you wanted. Okay, are we ready to move on to 3 or do you need a minute?
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So this is our ornament card here. And then this is one that took very little to step it up. We are going to use our red backgrounds. So go ahead and fold those to make your card base. Once again, just make sure that your edges align before you use your bone folder, so they're nice and straight. We're just going to set those aside for a minute. And let's bring out our little canvas pieces from your kit. So they're just lightly stamped with a pattern, but I wanted more pattern on mine. So I'm going to use my, just whatever your lightest stamp pad is. You might have a vanilla pad. What were some of the other ones you could use? You could use Blushing Bride. You could use the, what's that called? Soft sea foam. Anything that's really light that coordinates with your card here. I'm using the basic beige. And I didn't realize until I started using this how much green is actually in that basic beige. That's one of our newest colors. So I'm just going to put this on black so I can see the paper better. And I'm just going to stamp the whole front of this. Oops. I'm paying attention. Okay, and I wasn't paying attention when I was stamping. So you see these extra white spots here? I don't want those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean my stamp. Make sure no ink is stamping. And I'm just going to ink up one of these little highlights here. And then I can just kind of stick that in there and no one will ever know. So shh, don't tell. Okay, so now, whoops, now it's filled in and no one will see that. I'll pay more attention when I'm stamping my next one. Okay. Well, evidently I didn't pay attention. So I'm going to fill in some of those open spots. Um, Goodness, I did worse on the second card than I did the first. Okay. Okay, so now we can take those and we have our 4 by 5 1/8 inch green pieces. This is garden green. And we're just going to glue this to the center. That. And then we can glue these to the front of our card. And we're back to, you'll have a little bit more on the top and bottom than you will on the sides. I don't know why Stampin' Up! Decided to make these pieces a weird size, but they did. Okay, so now we're going to put our ornament together. And you have your ornament pieces. And Stampin' Up! Shows you that you can just do the side pieces with a little bit of adhesive, but I wanted to glue down some of the thinner pieces as well. So I'm going to show you how I do that. The first one, I just used my finger and just lightly added the glue to it, but I'm so messy with glue that didn't work so well for me. So I have a tool here somewhere. I went and got it, but now I can't find where I put it. So I'm just going to make another. This is just one of the little silicone brushes that you can get for food. And what I'm going to do is cut this down to where this is only about 3/8 of an inch long. And you want them to be flat here. I'm going to keep trimming a little bit. Okay, so I just have a little bit here. And now what you can do, so you don't get adhesive everywhere, hold on one second. This is what happens when you don't cook. You just use your utensils for stamping. This isn't very straight, so let me see if I can straighten this out there. Give it a little haircut here. Okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my silicone craft sheet, and I'm just going to add some adhesive up in this corner. And I'm just going to use this to dab adhesive. And this gives, do you remember the old little like temporary glue dots that we used to buy when we were doing our scrapbooking? This gives you little adhesive dots. And then I'm going to add extra to these larger areas here just to help hold that. And I'm going to take my piece here and I'm going to put this right in the center. This way I can see that I am getting, I'll hold this up. Hopefully you can see. You can see a little border here. This way I could tell that I had the whole thing glued down where it's supposed to be. Does that make sense? If you tried to put this on top of this piece, you're not going to get it aligned well. But if you do it upside down, you'll be able to have that little 1/16 of an inch border around to know that it's on straight. Okay, I'm gonna clean my silicone mat off. I don't recommend using Kleenex because it just gives you fuzzies, but that's what I have right here, so that's what we're using. Okay. Now I can take my other piece, add some more glue up here, and make my little glue dots. Okay, this way you're not going to get glue everywhere on the front of that piece. And that's enough, especially because I'm going to be adding the extra adhesive on these larger parts. I'm not concerned at all about this not holding down. Okay. I know what I'm saying. I'm hoping you do too. Okay. Once you have these glued, we're going to add our little branches here. Well, actually, we're going to wait on that. We're gonna put these on Stampin' Dimensionals. Okay, and then we are going to glue these to the front of our card. And I'm gluing mine on, so I have this little sprig down here at the bottom. And we're doing it just below center. Okay, it's not exactly centered, it's leaning to the right. But it's not, I've brought it down just a tad. And then we're going to put these on Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm going to use mini dimensionals at the ends here. If you don't have minis, once again, you can just cut the larger ones in half. And you're going to place this at the top. And you're going to see that your string here goes off your card. That's on purpose. And you want that string to be straight, up and down. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of adhesive. I'm just going to put it on my finger and I'm going to put it underneath this string and go ahead and glue that down. Clean off your fingers really well so you didn't get glue everywhere like I will. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim off that excess. Okay. Then you have your little label pieces from your kit. And once again, so I can see the edges, I'm going to put it on a piece of black cardstock. And for this, I'm going to use the pumpkin pie ink and the Deck the Halls stamp. You're just going to stamp the middle. I love the clear stamps where you can actually see where you're stamping. Can you imagine trying to get that without using a Stamp-A-Majig in the center of that and the old rubber stamps we used to use? We would not be happy. Okay, I'm going to put this on Stampin' Dimensionals. And we're just going to slide that here. And I'm sliding the top right corner up underneath that ornament. And then I'm aligning the left side with the green border. And if you decide to try the little silicone brush technique, I'm just going to use a baby wipe and get the excess glue off of the ends here. And it'll be good and ready to go until I can't find it again. All right, let's add a little bling. So bring out our sequins again. And we're going to put 2 at an angle at the top here. And 1 making that triangular shape down in the bottom right. Okay, so hopefully you can see, if you look at the original, I changed the red to the green, or the green to the red. I just added a little bit of cardstock, and we stamped that piece just to give it a little more something something. So super easy to kick that up a notch. Let's open our cards and do our stamped buys. So we don't have to worry about that later. I'm adding my Stampin' Up! Copyright. So there's our card. And there's our envelope. So let's bring out our 3 cards for today. And you get to tell me what you think.
I love them.
So thank you everyone for joining me today. It was fun to have people to stamp with. It's kind of weird when I am just talking to myself. So I love having you here. I love seeing your faces. Those of you that are watching on the video and not live, please let me know in the comments below what your favorites are, what you think of the projects, and just say hi.